Back now, we're all in need of a fresh start this year, whether that's through our minds or bodies.
Fitness expert Gillian Hines joins us now with her pick of the best health and wellness books for 2021. Good morning, Gillian. Good to see you. How are you?
Good morning. Good to see you. I'm very well, thank you.
Good. We have 4 books for our viewers to delve into. But before we get into the books, we might just ask you how lockdown has been for you and what your personal journey has been like through lockdown.
Do you know what? I actually have to say, I feel like I've been really lucky through this. Like, obviously, for me as a fitness business, we were shut down last spring and obviously intermittently through the last few months. But for me, I had a baby in June. I've been so him and we have 2 small children now and I don't have to do the homeschooling thing or any of that. You know, so for me, I've been very lucky in that way. But also because with work, I've just so much to focus on with kind of going into new territory, doing it online, that I've just been that busy. I haven't had time to get too upset about the whole thing. Now, having said that, I did actually have a bit of a funny week this week. For some reason, it has gotten to me a little bit more this week. And, you know, I can't really think why that is, but you know, I'll snap out of it. But I do feel overall, I've been very lucky.
Yeah, and I suppose fitness and health is so important to how we approach life, especially in the midst of a global pandemic. And fitness, as we know, is so important. So you have gone through, you've done the edit, basically, in terms of the health and wellness books out there, because there are so many, Gillian. And the first one you're taking us to is the Sunday Times bestseller, Why We Eat Too Much.
Yeah, and of course, people will be looking at that screen and be saying, it's, you know, because we don't have any self-control, you know, that's the reason why we eat too much. But really, it's much more complicated than that. So Dr. Andrew Jenkinson is a bariatric surgeon. Bariatric surgery is really any of that surgery that is for weight loss, for people who are in extreme, I suppose, condition in terms of their weight. They've tried everything and they simply can't do it on their own. So this is really a study of why we eat too much. And it's not just lack of willpower. It certainly isn't that. It's lots of different things like our hormones. We know a lot about insulin in relation to why we gain weight, because it obviously, when we eat a lot of sugar, we release a lot of insulin that makes us gain body fat. But furthermore, when we have a lot of insulin in our bodies, it interferes with our leptin. And leptin is what we would call the satisfaction hormone, the one that lets our body know we have enough energy and we don't need any more food. But when we have a lot of insulin, it interferes with the leptin signals to our brain. It blocks those signals, which it basically makes us end up eating more food.
So it sounds, or does it sound fairly detailed in terms of medical terms, etc., or is it a decent read, Gillian?
No, John, it isn't. And I think, there's more that he talks about, like something which I find very interesting, which is what he calls your weight set point. And basically your weight set point is where your body is comfortable being. Your body might be comfortable being 25 stone, it might be comfortable being 15 stone. You might be happy about it, but your body is used to operating at that level. So when you try and go on an extreme diet to lose that weight, your body is not happy about that. It wants to go back to where it was. So it will do everything possible to make you put that weight back on. So that's why people, when they go on these extreme diets, find that they end up eating way more food and gaining the weight and then some. So this is about understanding why that happens, but actually breaking the cycle. So I really do hope for people who have done loads of that kind of dieting, who feel that it's actually their fault, that it will come as a relief to them to know that it's not. And then it's about getting the information about how to make the changes necessary to lose the weight in a healthy way.
Okay. Well, let's move on to someone who's become the world's favourite PE teacher, a man who can't put a foot wrong, if you pardon the pun. Joe Wicks, he's got a book out called The 30-Day Kickstart Plan.
Well, as I say about Joe, he's the gift that keeps giving, because he's just always got something on the go. He's got an amazing output. And if you didn't know who Joe Wicks was a year ago, everybody knows who he is now, because he has helped so many families. And I think he's an amazing guy. I have to say, that he's helped so many families since last spring. He has young children of his own. He really feels, what people are feeling out there, and he wants to help people. And I love him for that. He's probably one of the few people who's made a lot more money in the last year, but you couldn't resent his success because he's just a fabulous guy. But this book is going to help you kickstart your fitness. If you have not been eating well at home, you've been drinking a bit more than you should, you haven't been exercising, this is going to help you get out of that rut. It's full of really easy to follow recipes, and that's always been a cornerstone of how Joe Wicks works. Really easy recipes, and that's so important when it comes to making changes. If it's complicated recipes, phase 1, phase 2, diet this, diet that, it never works. but something where it's just healthy eating, easy food that we can get our hands on, because sometimes we get recipe books and we can't even get the ingredients. But all of these ingredients are available to us and they're easy to cook. He also has exercises in the book, so beginner to intermediate and advanced, and so just help you get moving, get eating healthy.
Okay.
Gillian, you mentioned there we turn to food for comfort eating. We also turn to alcohol, and maybe a little bit more in these times. The next one looks at that, the 28-day alcohol-free challenge.
Yeah, exactly. So this book was written by two guys, two friends who back in 2016 hadn't seen each other for some time. And little did each of the other one know when they met up, they'd both given up alcohol for a period of time. They just did it kind of as an experiment because they felt like alcohol was just holding them back. It wasn't that they were alcoholics. It wasn't that anyone was saying to them, you need to stop drinking. They just felt a little uncomfortable with their relationship with alcohol. And they, independently of each other, decided to not drink for a while. And it kind of escalated from there, really. They met up and they realized, their lives were just much better without alcohol. And they went online, they were looking at, these groups, community groups and Facebook groups about not drinking. And they found it all a bit depressing. The message wasn't a joyous one of celebration of actually how much better their lives were. From not drinking, and they wanted to help people to get on the track with potentially not drinking as well. And so what I really like about this book is they don't finger wag. They don't say we're better than you, we don't drink. They're just really, their overarching goal is to help people change their relationship with alcohol. And that's really what they help people to do.
Okay, and then finally we have a book from Michael Acton Smith, which is described as a book that will give you the simple tools and tricks that will change the rest of your life. The book is called Calm, and it's about finding your inner pause button.
I really like this book, and I'm calling it the Book of Calm because there's the app of Calm, so which a lot of your viewers may be familiar with. And I'm not really an app user at all, but I actually do use this app, and I find it brilliant because when you're going through periods maybe of anxiety, stress, and of course a lot of us we are stressed, and it's really been a tough time, and it continues to be a tough time, and we have to really take whatever tools we can to make it easier for ourselves and get ourselves through this period as best as we can. And things like this book and this app as well, I would really recommend, is really going to help. And it's just a beautiful book, and I find even as I tend to read sometimes. I'm very fast when I read. I do everything quite fast, probably. But I find that I really slowed down when I read this book. And even just the process of reading it I find very calming. And it does talk about the things that we hear a lot about these days, mindfulness, appreciation for the things that we have, taking joy in the small things. And of course, now we do have to take joy in the small things because we're not left with the big things right now, and, taking joy in nature, taking joy in our children, the simple thing, even the act of making a cup of tea, making that a ceremony to that. So it is a very, I call it like the app it's like a sound tranquilizer. This is like the sort of words tranquilizer. It's very calming. And if you know someone who's suffering with stress, this would be a really good gift to maybe give them.
I've actually seen this ad on Instagram regularly.
That's right.
I'm familiar with that logo, but I wasn't quite sure exactly what it is. So that is the Calm app that you can put onto your phone.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Listen,
and
Gillian,
honestly, it's a wonderful app.
thank you for those choices. And listen, thanks for your time this morning. Good to see you.
Thanks, Gillian.
Thank you so much. Good to see you both. Bye.
Now, still to come, Irish Olympic hero Michael Carruth